Hey, good morning. How are you today? It's Dr. Shirley. Welcome to the Dr. Shirley Show, where we talk about all things health and all things that are natural. Feel like I'm leading the way. I'm leading this movement to be well naturally, to take control of our own health, to do so in our health, in our relationships, in our food, in our environment, doing work that we love to do, and really just living the best life we can possibly live. But most of that, starts in, on the outside of our body, right? Most of this is going to, when we feel good and we have good energy, then we're going to be able to do all kinds of great things with our life. And not just when we're 50, but when we're 60 and 70 and beyond. Because really, what's the sense of, sitting around waiting to see when Let's Make a Deal is on or waiting for the mail to come, right? There's life to be lived, and we just really don't even know what's on the next page. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is sleep, okay? And sleep it's a little bit underrated, how important it really is. Good morning, Sally. Hi, Angela. Hi, Laura. Hi, Gretchen. Nice to see you all. You guys are just such wonderful students. Sally's heard me teaching for many, many years, but she's a wonderful example. I wrote about her in my book, actually, about successful aging. And so we again have a choice to do this. So today we're going to talk about sleep and all the things that can affect our sleep emotionally, physically, and some things that you may not even know. So it's an important aspect of our health because, as we know, when we don't sleep good at night, it's not to our own doing, all right? It's not. I mean, we would all prefer to sleep good at night, but we have to be able to take some steps ourselves to perhaps change our environment and to learn the importance of good sleep, because when we don't sleep good, we are literally sabotaging the whole next day. Just like you might if you drink too much alcohol, you're sabotaging the next day. So this becomes almost a preventative type of thing, right? So one of the things we're going to talk about first, it is something brand new. It's not brand new to our society. It's been in our society, but years ago when I taught classes, I taught sleep. This particular issue was never an issue. Does anyone know what it is? What's different that causes us to stay awake at night, okay? And that is our phone, okay? Hey, Dan, nice to see you. Hey, James. Our phones, our computers, our tablets that are in our bedroom are causing all kinds of havoc with our body. And I'm going to tell you some studies, some statistics. Right now, they're finding that 75% of those, yes, exactly, Angela, technology. 75% of those between 18 and 44 have their phone as an alarm clock, okay? And it's just, people say, oh, I don't use an alarm clock. I mean, you can see them, get them at garage sales for a couple dollars, but you have to understand what's happening. And it's not just the phones that are sitting by their nightstands, less than 3 feet away and emitting all of this light, which we'll start to talk about, but it's also whether it's a TV in your room, maybe you've got a computer in your room, and there's all these EMFs that are coming out, and it's actually what's called blue light. And this blue light is what disrupts our melatonin. Okay, our melatonin is a natural occurring hormone that helps us to sleep a lot more solid throughout the night. Now we can take melatonin, and I go through periods where I take it, and then I go through periods where I don't. I'm not taking it right now. I'm sleeping very well, but we really have to get an idea of what is around us in our environment. So what's going to happen is the melatonin gets suppressed. When that happens, our blood pressure can be raised during the night, our glucose gets off balance, and even our temperature gets elevated. We sleep a little bit better, as you know, when the temperature is nice and cool. When we are surrounded by these particular lights, even if we're looking, believe it or not, within the last hour, let's say you want to go to bed at 10 o'clock, it's not unusual that we're checking our phones or doing anything at 9. And I'll tell you, after I did some of this more recent research, I'm like, you know what? I need to get myself an alarm clock. I got to get back to literally having an alarm clock, and not one of those red ones that are, right? Jennifer, not one of those red LEDs, because I mean, these things have really done a big disservice, to all of us. The exposure before bed, okay, just even with an hour before bed, shuts down our melatonin up to 90%. Do you have any idea, what that's doing to your sleep? And this is just prior. Now, are you guilty? And I know sometimes I'm guilty. Hey, Sheree, nice to see you. Of having you hear that. I mean, I turn all my phone off at night. I turn off the sounds. I turn off absolutely everything. I don't want to be woken by any little pings or dings. But what happens is that with this light being there, or if we say oh my goodness, I'm not able to I should check my email or check this. Well, I'm awake anyway. Did anybody like my post? I mean, who knows what's going on, in our heads, but we've become so wired almost to an addictive way. But making this one change, you want to get your tablets out of your room, get the computers out of your room. Now, we also have smart TVs now before, right? TVs were just TVs before. You turn those TVs off and they were off, but our TVs are now smart. And so they have the blue light. And they run all the time. I know, when I'm with Mark in one of his bedrooms where the TV is, and, we'll be in there and you can just see those lights just blinking away. And it's a combination of things. So again, getting the suppression down of the melatonin is going to impact so many areas of your life. Now, before, and when I say before, I mean many, many moons ago, we really just had two kinds of light. We had sunlight, and we had moonlight and starlight, and that was really all that our bodies went on. And so it was very normal to go to sleep when the sun went down, right? And it was very normal to get up when the sun went up. This is really how our circadian clock, which is the rhythm of our body, how our body really functions. But now we have all these other disturbances that come in. So you're going to have to find your own way with this. But so this is education. You get to decide, what you're going to do with it. And what happens is when we are in total darkness. Now, you've probably been to a hotel before where they've got those big rubber curtains or shades, right? You shut the door and you wake up in the morning, you have no idea what time it is. You don't know if it's like 4 a.m, you don't know if it's 10 a.m. Well, there's a lot to that, okay? Because what happens when we are in total darkness, that our optic signal within our brain, totally pumps out the melatonin, okay? When we are in pitch black. So this does mean, getting those I remember a neighbor of mine years ago, she used to have these big rubber, curtains. I remember as a kid go like, oh my gosh, that's like so gross, but it was actually smart. Because the windows were covered from end to end. There was no street lights coming in. And, some people live in different areas. You may, when I'm down in Naples, New York right now, my Airbnb house down here, and, and it's a lot quieter here. There really isn't, many street lights. There's not any noise. But some of you live in the city. Maybe you have some, big windows, but you're going to have to find your own way with that. They found that also, too, when we don't have enough melatonin and we're not getting our proper amount of sleep, that we have a 22% higher chance of getting breast cancer. I mean, what? How does this happen? And actually, because it reduces our immune system function. But this was a big study. It was a 10-year study. When they say it's a study, it means it's double-blind, placebo-controlled. Everything's been, monitored correctly to determine this. So 22% higher chance of breast cancer because you're not sleeping through the night? I don't know. I think the sleep is more important. We have a higher incidence of depression that goes on. Our immune system, as I said, gets off, and we also are going to be gaining weight. People who don't sleep well are heavier. And the reason being is that you are producing and not properly working with leptin, which is a hormone. You can look that up, but leptin helps us sleep. When we're awake, the leptin is there and it causes our body to hold on to more body fat. So that's another good reason to sleep through the night. So in the bedroom, you want to have zero light, okay? Put the phone away. You can put your phone off and put it on Do Not Disturb and turn it off. There is an emergency function on every phone, meaning that if someone calls you and it goes right to your voicemail, they can call again, and then by the third time, it's considered emergency and it will ring. So a lot of times, I know I used to think that like, oh, what if there's an emergency? What if somebody needs me? They can't get through, but in fact, they can. So you just try it, right? Try it. Put it away for a couple nights and see how much better. I know my daughter had told me that she moved her phone out to the kitchen, from her bedroom area and started sleeping better. And I think I'm going to do that same thing myself. So close the blinds, stay off the phone. That's enough about that. The other thing that keeps us up at night is when our liver is not functioning correctly. And I've talked about this in a couple other classes. Our liver is active between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. We've got to start thinking about cleansing our body. A lot of you have messaged me. I've got a lot of people that are doing some cleanses right now. If by this point, if you've watched any of my videos, you understand the reality of why we have to detox on a regular basis if we want to have the best health possible. Now, obviously you care about your health because you're tuning into this, but we have to understand that we are got to get these toxins out of our body fat, out of our liver, out of our kidneys, and things change on a daily basis. I remember having a family once and they were full of toxins and we couldn't figure out why. I do all this detective work. It was the middle of the winter and they were painting their house. It's not a good time to paint your house. And so we figured out that, it's because the chemicals from the paint that have gotten in. So if you're doing some of these projects, you want to do them, not when you can keep the windows open. I mean, maybe, there's a situation where you just put some, ChemLawn on your lawn. I mean, at my house, it's not something I want to do, but some of you may do that, but you have to understand that affects you. If you dyed your hair, I'm trying to find a solution to this. I'm so tired of dyeing my hair from an upkeep standpoint, but also the fact that I'm putting chemicals in my body because the natural stuff just does not work. But when I do dye my hair, I definitely, do a detox because those are some of the strongest chemicals absorbing, right into your head. So cleansing is going to make a big difference. You are going to sleep so much better when you get this stuff out of your body. Springtime right now here in North America is one of the best overall times to cleanse. It's why the dandelions come up, in the spring. My yard's full of them, and I'm proud of it. And dandelion is an herb that actually helps to, to cleanse out the liver. So there's a couple different cleanses you can do, and I'd be happy to recommend which one is right for you. There's a lot of good ones on the market. There's a couple that I personally recommend, but you want to talk to me before you do that because if you're on any medications whatsoever, we want to make sure that's a good fit, and you want to make sure the timing is right. So you can do a very light cleanse, and that may involve just, gradually getting things out. You can do a full cleanse for your liver, your kidneys, and your bowel, which is a 2-week cleanse. And someone asked the other day, actually, a friend of mine, Barb, we've been friends for a long, long time, and she said, Shirley, does the cleansing, does that mean you're fasting for 2 weeks? And it's a really common question because people sometimes think that cleansing and fasting are the same thing, and they're not, okay? Cleansing is when you're creating an environment within your body so it lets go of toxins, okay? It literally, the herbs just release the toxins, fiber brings them out, we feel better. Cleansing is when you're choosing not to eat for an fasting is when we're choosing not to eat for an extended period of time. So there are two different things. So you can do, this bowel kidney cleanse. I've been using it with my clients for 20 years now. I always keep some in the house because just in case, and even when we fly, my body gets full of stuff. Don't be tricked by things smelling like vanilla and pina colada. They're usually, chemically based. Or you can do a body fat cleanse for those of you that are looking to lose stubborn weight. You can read about or watch my toxic fat video, but that is a 9-day cleanse, and it's a cleanse and a fast and a weight loss program. So there's two different ones there, but either one that you would choose or another one of a good quality, again, I'm happy to critique or to help with something you already have, is going to make all the difference in the world. You're going to have a much solid sleep. You're going to wake up more refreshed. Your moods are going to be a lot more stable, and when you get this anxiety out of your body, you're going to sleep a lot better at night as well, too. There's different formulas you can use to help your body relax. There's some people, I used to take a ton of things before I went to bed, because as many of you know, if you've watched some of my previous shows, I used to have a fair amount of anxiety, especially last year. It's not this year, due to my visit to the Swami, my other story. But things like that are very helpful at night is a magnesium complex, okay? Not just a flat magnesium, but a magnesium complex is going to be highly absorbable in your system, and magnesium is a wonderful relaxer. It has over 5,000 enzymatic functions with it, and it's primarily going to be helpful to help you to relax your brain, relax your body, and allow yourself to drift into a nice period of sleep. There's another different herbal combinations, herbal sleep combinations, and these can be things like hops, valerian, passion flower, chamomile. Okay, these are all what's called your nervine herbs, and these are the ones that are going to help your body to relax naturally. Chamomile tea is a nice thing to do at night. You can do magnesium drinks. They even have sleep sprays. One of the companies I work with has a sleep spray that's taken in through the mouth, and all of our receptors to the rest of the body and to digestion into the bloodstream happen right inside of our mouth, and so that's another good thing to do as well to help your body to relax. One of the things to keep in mind is that caffeine obviously is a stimulant. Everybody knows this, but I don't know if you knew how long it stays in your body. Caffeine can stay in your body to up to 10 hours. So probably that 8 o'clock in the morning coffee isn't going to bother you at 10 o'clock at night, but is the afternoon coffee at 2 going to bother you at 10 o'clock at night? Hi, Ann, nice to see you. Hey, Ken. So you have to think about that. Again, if you're a person that has a weaker nervous system, or you got a lot on the go. Now, a lot of us are go, right? We get up, we hit the ground running, we get the kids off to school, we jump in the car, we go to our office, we work like crazy, we fight through the traffic, we get back home again. We're tired, but maybe our brain is still going. And so some of these herbals are going to be very helpful, to help you relax, but not having this caffeine to even jazz it up even more is going to make a big difference. So think about what some of those alternatives might be able to be for you. If you are tired in the afternoon, say between 3 and 5. That could be a couple things. It can be a lack of water. So if you're tired, drink some water. You'd be surprised you're gonna, pop right up. And then you also may be needing some potassium. Potassium is an important mineral that gets depleted by stress. It gets depleted by exercise. It's real important for our heart. But during the afternoon, we have what's called a potassium drop, and that's why if you're ever out in a, not that many of us have been here, but in the jungles, right? Let's say of Africa, and all the animals are sound asleep. You may find your cat, your dog, finding a nice slice of sunlight in your house in the middle of the afternoon. It's a natural time to slow down. And in the European countries, they're a lot more aware of this. And so a lot of the shops, even the restaurants close in the afternoon. We were in Sicily a couple years ago in this teeming area where they were selling all this beautiful, beautiful pottery, just really, really amazing. And we got there about 11. We'll come like 1 in the afternoon, man. There was thousands of people there, like all with wallets open, ready to buy. Boom, they shut the doors. And, in Italy and France, a lot of these, because their rest time and their time to take care of themselves is important, more important than any sale on the planet. Quite a contrast, right, between North America. Another thing, do we sleep? Does anyone sleep with a partner that snores? Okay, I do sometimes. I've gotten better with that. I've helped Mark with that too, but I found this fascinating. Do you know that the sound of snoring can reach as high as 90 decibels? Now, what does that mean? I wasn't sure what 90 decibels meant, so I looked it up. 90 decibels is a blender, okay? Can you imagine a sound so loud that it's like a blender, sleeping next to you? Angela says, yes, she has a snorer at home, and we'll talk about that another time because there's a lot of natural options, for snoring too. But snoring can affect us, right? If someone next to us is snoring and we're not in a deep sleep, I know sometimes I used to try to go to sleep before Mark, and then we worked it out where I got to sleep more sound, and I've got his snoring down good too. Another thing that can wake us up at night are your animals. Okay, 50% of people say that they do indeed get woken or bothered by sleeping with their animals. And again, that just becomes a lifestyle choice. I'm not here to say, don't sleep with Mr. Biscuits, or your kitty, or, because it feels good for you, or that feels comfortable for you. And I totally understand that. But if you have an animal that's waking you up at night or needs to go out at 2 o'clock in the morning every time, I don't know. I used to give my dog herbs, not that he woke up. He was afraid to, he didn't like riding. We had a cottage in the Adirondacks, and we went every Friday. And every time we put that dog in the car, he would crap in the back of my ex-husband's truck. Every single time, didn't matter what we did, he just got nervous and he'd crap in the truck. And it was just like, oh my goodness. So then I started giving him some herbs. And one of my favorite formulas is called Stress J. And it's for people, and it was also for animals. And so I used this, and it was really funny that the dog just started to chill out. So it was really something, because my kids were little and they'd be all wound up in the back of the car, and my husband would be a little wound up because we're on the road again, and I would like dole out those herbs. I'd give a couple to my husband, I'd give some liquids to my kids, just kept everyone just a little chill. It's not like a drugging thing, but it definitely took everyone's edge off. But think about that. I'm not an expert in animal health, but I work with a woman whose name is Valerie, and she taught me vitamins and herbals years and years ago. And what I learned for her is that a lot of these natural remedies can be used for pets. Again, I'm not the expert, but if you have a question, let me know, and I'll forward it on to her, because she's always happy to help. So think about with your animals if that's something you really want to do. Another thing that goes on, within a lot of people's houses is they have their TV in the bedroom. It's something I never did. I guess my parents didn't do it. I didn't do it. I don't do that, but I know a lot of people do. A lot of people will, fall asleep. They say they can only fall asleep with the TV. You might want to consider what's going on within yourself and take a deeper look at yourself if that is really what's going on, because to me that kind of signifies that maybe you're not wanting to be alone, or you're not wanting to be quiet, or you're not wanting to deal with things. Again, I'm not a psychiatrist. I do have a minor in psychology, but I'm not a professional to that level. But what happens when you have the TV on, let's say you've got it tuned to CNN, and we're coming from some footage from Syria or from Yemen, or the volcano that's erupting in Hawaii right now. This actually permeates into our brain. Okay, we store this. There's been all kinds of studies done, but the information that you choose choose to put into your head before you fall asleep affects who you are. Wayne Dyer actually talks about that. He's been past a couple years. He does wonderful, wonderful work, but he talks so much about how important it is whether we're doing meditation, prayer, whatever, to be putting or even a story, putting that into our head versus everything that can be so difficult. So the TVs may lull you to sleep, but you're going to end up waking up 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, TV still going, and all of that EMFs and everything just kind of going right into your brain. A lot of people also have what's called busy brain, and busy brain means that your head is just spinning. You're trying to solve problems in the middle of the night, right? You've got this, you wake up and you've got this thought. A lot of times our thought is worried about our health, worried about our finances, worried that, something's going on with a relationship. I mean, life is a little bit of some suffering. I didn't realize that. It was interesting when I was in India last year, I learned so much, and there's these girls that sang on the ukulele and they're saying, life is full of suffering. And it was kind of interesting. And you'll see as the years go by that things do happen to, that don't always feel so good. So we obviously have periods of our life that are stressful, and our brains can be going. So we can definitely shut those brains down. And there are certain herbals, especially in the Chinese medicine, where they actually have herbals for busy brain. But things like doing meditation, things like prayer, doing yoga later at night, even some stretches. Pranayama, I've talked about. Pranayama is the breathing technique, and it's not just a way to breathe, but it is a way to detoxify and to de-stress. And I do pranayama in bed sometimes. It just takes a couple minutes. I wrote about it in my last newsletter. It was alternate nostril breathing. There's an Indian name for it too. But things like that will actually help to balance what's called your nadis. And your nadis are the markers of your chakras that go up and down your spine. And so by relaxing those nadis, the male and female nodules, then this is going to help you to sleep better at night. So look into pranayama, or if you have a question about it, I may talk about it in a class sometime, but let me know, because this is a self technique you can do in bed that just takes 3 or 4 minutes. Some of the oils are wonderful. There's you can do some, I'm not an expert in the essential oils, but you can certainly look them up, and a lot of people are, where you could just maybe spray a little bit on your pillows. I know lavender's one that's good. Taking a hot bath at night can really help to relax. If you're lucky enough to have a sauna or be able to go to a sauna, maybe at your club, again, that's going to be a detoxifier, and it's going to help the body to relax. Because in reality, whatever's on your mind, there's really nothing you can do about it in the middle of the night. There just isn't. And so we've got to be able to train ourselves to say, okay, you remember Gone with the Wind? Do you remember what Scarlett O'Hara always said? I'll think about that tomorrow. I'm not going to think about that today. I'll think about that tomorrow. And I think that's really good advice as far as our health goes. One of the best things that we can do, and this is not easy, this is a lifelong practice, is to achieve peace within ourselves. And when we are at peace with our lives, and our work and our relationships and our finances, all these things, right? So this does not come easy. But when we have more peace within, we're going to be able to sleep a lot more. When I was in India, in my meditation teacher, we did meditation for about an hour and 20 minutes every night. It was pretty great. I learned an awful lot. And so someone raised their hand, and they asked, "Now, how do you fall asleep at night? What should we do for sleeping?" And she was so sweet. She just glowed. She was one of these women. In fact, she actually, this is a side note, she took a vow to stop talking as soon as our class was done, which was in a couple weeks. She just decided she wasn't going to talk anymore the rest of her life. I was like, wow, fascinating. Whole other type of enlightenment. But anyway, she just smiled. She goes, "I just go to sleep." People are like, "Well, how do you go to sleep? How do you sleep better? What's the trick? I just go to sleep." So she says, I lay in corpse pose. And for those of you that are yogis that understand yoga, corpse pose is the pose at the end of the practice where you're lying on your back. Your feet are out just a little bit. Your arms are just at rest, which is usually like a cupped type of a situation. And your neck is up, and you let your body be. And she's, I just rest. But again, this is someone who's has no, strife at all, in their life. And so I guess, what I want to say is that when we're not getting a good night's sleep, we are sabotaging our next day. Okay, our moods are off. All of those big disasters, whether it was the Valdez and some of the nuclear power plant, Fukushima in Japan, all these major accidents. And a lot of car accidents and factory accidents happen because of lack of sleep. So we really don't feel good the next day. I mean, once in a while to not have a good night's sleep, that's fine. But over time, it is like just taking a piece of your body and a piece of your, your health and your vitality and just nibbling away at it. So work hard to make sleep a priority. You're going to find that you won't be at medical risk for all of these diseases. You'll find that you'll be a lot slimmer. Your immune system's going to be a lot stronger, and you're going to have the mood, right, to and the energy, the physical, mental energy to enjoy your life. And as I like to say, if you're not happy with your life and you're not happy with your relationships, your work isn't making you feel thrilled or happy, it is a hard time to have peace. So these are some things that we have to grow through as we go through life. And does anyone have any questions? I thank you, Janet. Hey, Angela, Lisa, it's nice to see you. Does anyone have any questions? Anything I can help you with? Just let me know. If you wouldn't mind clicking that like button a few times, there's some smiley faces, or even putting something down on this video. I'd appreciate a comment of something you learned, something you liked. This helps to get the word out. There's been over 4,000 people that have taken a view at some of these videos, and as I said, I have vowed to be a leader in the Get Well Naturally movement. Okay, I believe this is a movement where we can go back. Okay, we can go back to the way things were. We can do so naturally. We can get the chemicals out of the house. We can clean out our bodies. We can be the most vibrant people and go out and do amazing things with our lives, because we all have a gift to share. Okay, so thank you so much for being with me today. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I'm not sure what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm sorry I haven't put a schedule together just yet, but you will find me, okay, and I'll have something exciting to say. All right, have yourself a wonderful day. Thank you again. Bye now.